This is my NEMO Stargaze reclining camp chair, and in this video, we'll be testing for its ease of setup and pack away, seat dimensions, of course its reclining feature, its rocking feature, and much more to find out whether it truly is the best rocking and reclining camp chair you can possibly find. Before we set this chair up, here's what we get in the box: the carry bag, the poles, and the seat. First, let's start with the poles. The setup is very intuitive. Just follow all the shock cording and insert all the poles into the pole joints. Now, when you're done, this is what it should look like. You should have 4 leg poles on the ground, and these 2 longer poles are for the seat. One tip here, all the poles have these white direction marks on them to show you how to insert them. Now, to double check that they are all fully inserted, you shouldn't see any of the white markings at all. They should be fully inserted up to this white line for every single one of the 6 poles. Once the poles are fully set up, grab the chair fabric and clip the chair on with the metal buckles at the widths. There are actually 2 buckles connected together, so to clip it on, press on both buckles to expand the pole insert and secure it onto the pole. When you release both buckles, the pole insert will shrink again and secure it in place. Another tip here is to make sure you've got these buckles inserted the right way around. The word TOP here means that this should be at the, top. This is a time lapse of the entire setup. I timed myself and found that this took me only about 43 seconds. To pack away this chair, first make sure the headrest isn't too high up on the chair or it won't fit back into the bag. Next, remove the chair by pressing on the buckles again at both widths and remove them from the pole tips. Place the chair fabric on the ground and it'll naturally fold in half. Then break down all the poles and put them first into the bag. Fold the chair up tightly at one end towards the middle, and then do the same with the other end, also towards the middle. Place it into the carry bag on top of the poles. Rest your knee against the top of the bag gently to zip the bag up. Here's another full time lapse, this time of the pack away, which took me about 52 seconds. As for the unfolded dimensions, here's what I measured. The longest width is from pole tip to pole tip, and that comes in at about 37.5 inches. The longest length from the back of the chair to the front of the seat comes in at about 28 inches. And the tallest total height from the ground to the top of the chair comes in at 40.5 inches. Overall, the full dimensions on my chair were pretty much accurate to what was marketed. Now, here are all the detailed measurements, starting with the seat size. The seat width depends on the weight of the person sitting on the chair and how much it folds down, but for me, that came in at about 22 inches. Seat depth from the back to the front of the seat is about 19 inches. I'm not very big, so I found the seat to be very roomy and very comfortable. As for seat height, according to the marketed specs, that should be about 12 inches. So when I measured the seat height from the ground up to the bottom of the seat, with no one sitting on it, it really did come in at almost 12 inches, just half an inch shorter, so about 11.5 inches. But when I sat in the chair and I took the distance from the ground to where I'm actually sitting down instead, that came in at just slightly over 10 inches. That's a slight difference of 1.25 inch, making it lower than it actually is. Now for the backrest height, this is from where the seat ends to the top of the chair for me. This comes in at a whopping 30 inches, and the backrest width comes in at about 24 inches at its widest, and about 19.5 inches nearer the bottom. Notice that the backrest width, it tapers from the middle to the top and also from the middle to the bottom, so I would say that 19.5 inches is about the average width. At the top of the backrest, you'll also find an adjustable pillow. When you tear it off, you'll find 2 strips of Velcro behind it, and this is how you adjust it. You can put it as low as you'd like, in the middle, or higher up if you're taller. But for me, the middle works just fine. My head will land squarely on the pillow. The pillow isn't the softest, but it's comfortable enough for me. Now, moving on to one of the most important features, we've got the reclining feature. If you're not using the reclining feature, this will be the neutral position here, and when I used a digital protractor to measure the angle of recline, that came in at just 11 degrees. But if you want to use the reclining feature, you can recline it all the way to a whopping 57 degrees, exactly like so. This is quite a deep reclining angle, and I found it to be really relaxing and very comfortable. This chair uses these tension straps here for automatic reclining. All you have to do is just lean back with your body weight while placing your arms on the armrests to push yourself backwards, and the chair will recline on its own. One thing to note here is that you may need more muscle than you'd expect to get it to recline though, especially if you're not strong like me. The more it reclines, the more the straps will lengthen, and that's how the reclining function works. And once you get up from the chair, it'll go back into a non-reclined position. The next important feature is the rocking function. Because this chair is attached to the aluminum frame via only these 2 steel buckles, there's a lot of room for a full rocking motion, and I found that I could actually swing quite a bit with this chair. Another feature we're going to look at are armrests. These are just thin metal tubings covered with a thick layer of fabric. These are quite thin and not adjustable, but I thought they were, comfy enough. If you're taller, you can also use the tension straps as armrests too, but they're not as comfortable. For storage, we have 2 pockets/cup holders. This could fit any size can, which wouldn't be great if you're rocking, but the good news is that this can fit bottles up to a 1-liter Nalgene. The length of each pocket measures about 4 inches, and it can fit an Nalgene, so anything up to 3.5 inches in diameter. You can also use it for storing your personal items. This is what I recommend, and you can use it for sunnies and your phone. It comes with a cinch at the back, so the diameter is actually adjustable and can fit just about anything. As for the amount of mesh on this chair, here's how I measured it. For the length of the seat, 15 of 19 inches is made of mesh. For the length of the backrest, 19 of 30 inches is made of mesh. And for the width across the entire chair, 17 of 27 inches is made of mesh. In total, after some rough calculations, I found that about 44% of this chair is made of mesh. Even though the majority of the chair is still fabric, notice that the only part my body touches is all the mesh. So when I use it, I never run hot at all, and it is great for hot summer days. After a 1-hour sit test with this chair, I found that the temperature didn't even rise by much, and I'll put my results up on the screen right now. The other parts of the chair are covered in fabric, but it's quite thin and didn't get too hot either. There's also padding at the front for extra comfort for your knees, but this didn't get too hot for me too. For this next test, here's a quick list of everything I looked at, and we'll go through all of them right now. First, I looked at stitching and found that it was good all around the entire chair. I also looked at fabric, which is made of polyester. The mesh is monofilament mesh, which is a very strong type of mesh, and I never felt like it would rip on me. The poles are made of aircraft grade aluminum, and they all felt very beefy and durable. The feet poles are slightly less thick, coming in at 0.87 inches thick. The bars that hold up the chair are slightly thicker, 0.91 inches. And the center bar is the thickest at almost 1 inch thick. Even the pole joints are made of aircraft grade aluminum as well. The zipper on the carry bag was not branded, but it worked perfectly. As for stability, the feet aren't very wide, but the feet spread is wide enough for good balance. Overall, I found it to be very stable. When you're rocking in a chair though, don't push it back too far or it'll tip over, but you have to use quite a lot of strength to be able to do so. And this chair comes with a lifetime warranty. For portability, the pack size dimensions come in at about 27 inches in length by 9¼ inch in width and 8½ inches in height. For some reference, compared to a mid-sized 2-person tent, this is a Coleman Sundome. It's about 12% longer in length. The carry bag has an adjustable shoulder strap, making it very easy to carry around. If you don't want to sling it over your shoulder, there's also a smaller handle at one end. The weight of the chair itself comes in at 7.8 pounds. The carry bag weighs another 0.6 pounds, making the total weight 8.4 pounds. This is almost half a pound heavier than the marketed weight for some strange reason. Now, how does this NEMO Stargaze compare to other rocking camp chairs? I've tested a couple others from GCI Outdoor. These are the kickback rocker and the pod rocker, and I'll show you exactly how the NEMO compares to chairs like these. First, we're going to look at the range of motion when it comes to the rocking feature. For the NEMO, I had a full range of motion, and I found that I could rock the chair as high as I wanted to. However, for the GCI chairs, these chairs use spring-loaded pistons at the back of the chairs instead. The front 2 legs are regular legs, so only the back of the chair can rock you for a partial range of motion instead, and you can see how much of a difference this makes on screen. Now, because the NEMO's chair seat is attached to the frame only via these 2 buckles at the widths, this gives you like a hammock-like feel where the chair can still rock gently even if your feet are off the ground. With the GCI chairs, if your feet aren't on the ground rocking you, it doesn't move at all. Now, what about the reclining feature? For the NEMO, if you don't want to recline the chair, it'll stay in a neutral position of about 11 degrees. But if you want to recline it, it can go as deep as a 57-degree angle. However, for GCI, these chairs cannot be reclined, so this angle of recline that you see in the table here, this is set and you cannot change it. Basically, the NEMO is the only chair that I have that can be reclined and rocked, which clearly makes it one of the best chairs that I've ever used. But we're not close to being done yet, and the next difference we're going to look at is the backrest height. The NEMO has the tallest backrest height of any of the chairs here, coming in at a whopping 30 inches. This was enough to not only cover my entire back, but extend past my head too, so I could rest my head while rocking myself. As for the GCI chairs, these do not extend past my back, so I couldn't rest my head. On top of that, the NEMO also comes with an adjustable pillow for max comfort levels. The GCI chairs do not. Also, compared to your regular camp chair like the kickback, which has an average seat size, the NEMO has a much bigger seat size. I could fold my legs up on the chair and it never felt too cramped for me. The pod rocker has a very wide seat length, which was very spacious, but the seat depth was actually less than your average camp chair, so overall dimensions aren't as good as the NEMO, I would think. When it comes to mesh, the NEMO has also got the other two beat, with a whopping 44% of this chair made out of a super high quality monofilament mesh. On the other hand, most GCI chairs have much less mesh. The fabric isn't the most breathable, so it'll run much warmer on hot summer days. I also really love that the NEMO is slightly more lightweight and packs down much smaller than the other two chairs. The NEMO is only about the size of a 2-person camping tent, while the other two pack down to about 50% longer instead, which can be very bulky to store. As for UV protection, the only chair that has that is the NEMO. The GCI chairs do not, and some reviews say that the fabric disintegrates after extended exposure under the very hot sun. The NEMO is also slightly stronger with a slightly heavier weight capacity, but of course with all the pros that you get, the MSRP is also much higher than the other two. And when it comes to the ease of setup and pack away, the NEMO takes the longest compared to the GCI chairs. For the GCI chairs, all you have to do is just pull on the corners of the chair and the chair will just unfold. Another con is that the GCI chairs double as regular camp chairs much more sturdily than the NEMO. Remember what I said about the GCI chairs having two regular front legs. So you can shift your weight to the front of the chair, and these legs will stabilize you without any of the rocking features, so you can sit around a table and eat just like normal. But for the NEMO, you're constantly being suspended only by the two buckles at the widths, so even if you're sitting up straight, there will always be like this slight swaying motion. And the con that all these chairs have is that they don't sit very high at all, coming in at between 10 to 11 inches. So don't get any of these chairs if you have trouble getting out of those seats. So overall, when should you get the NEMO? If you can afford to spend a little bit more and you want a chair that pulls out all the stops with the highest possible quality, that's when you should get the NEMO over the others. But if you're on more of a budget and you don't mind the slightly lower quality and less features, then get the kickback rocker or GCI's freestyle rocker. I wasn't a very big fan of the pod rocker because of the bucket shape, which wasn't very good for lumbar support. If you're interested in other types of camp chairs, I actually bought and tested 20 different chairs. You can find out what I think is the best possible comparison of all of them in this video on screen, so do check that out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in that one.